What's going on today? Glad to be back for your special edition of LaBWork, episode 3, part 2. And we got some good stuff to talk to y'all about this week. We had great feedback last week. I know Coach Y'all talked to me about how many people hit him up, had different questions, was very enthusiastic about the information they received. I had college coaches call me. I'm not sure. We haven't talked about that. I had a lot of college coaches call me and say thank you for sharing some of that information with them and, getting some of that stuff off their chest that we talk about all the time, but we're not able to get out to the public.
No doubt.
So let's jump right into it. We're going to call today Recruiting 101 and the do's and don'ts for parents. This is going to be a touchy subject. This is Coach Yaw's idea. I'm going to let him lead off. I can't wait to hear what he has to say. And I'm looking forward to getting some stuff off my chest as well.
Well, first off, as parents in the recruiting process, when they're recruiting, I'm not going to ever tell a parent, don't guide your kid through this process or your child through this process because they're about to make the biggest decision of their life. But there are some things that you may do that you may not know that you're doing that turn off college coaches. For instance, I've had parents in the past, and sometimes parents don't know no better. They're trying to get to know you, and they're just speaking their minds. Talk about the kids that's on the team, on the high school team. Talk bad about the high school coach. Things of that nature that some coaches may get turned off about that because guess what? You're about to go be on another team, and if you bring that type of attitude and you're the voice that your kid is listening to, that could affect my team.
No question.
So a lot of times in this recruiting process, when coaches are talking to parents, I think parents, in my opinion, not saying this is what you have to do this. This is not the Bible. But you should listen more and gather information. Because a lot of times when you're talking and some of the things that you're saying, you're looking out for the best interests of your child, which is what you should do. But sometimes that may come off the wrong way, especially when you're talking about parents, other parents, other kids that may not be as good as your son, the coaching staff, things of that nature.
I agree. I want to piggyback on that. So if you're a parent and you're saying that the coach isn't using your son properly, he's not putting him in position to be successful, he's not coaching him well on defense and preparing him for the game, but we've been to the practice. Don't forget now, we come to practice. That's why hopefully you watched last week's episode. We would like for practice film to be sent in this year because college coaches can't go. So if we're at the practice and we see that the coach is actually doing a good job and your son's not retaining the information or he's not trying to retain the information, we're evaluating you and your approach and your attitude that you're about to bring into the locker room that we're a part of and trying to find out if you're going to be a cancer or not. So at this point, your son or daughter might be good enough talent-wise, but now if we're hearing that he or she can be a cancer in the locker room and be a negative effect on our team and staff, now we're starting to have these conversations in our coaches' meetings. I don't want y'all to think we don't talk about this stuff. When we have a conversation with a parent or a kid and they're doing a lot of negative talk about other people, we share that information with the staff in staff meetings.
Yes, we do. And it's like you're recruiting the parents also.
No question. They're part of the program with you.
Exactly. And as college coaches, especially head coaches, you gotta understand head coaches have egos. So let's just say your child goes to a university. All phone conversations with the coaches, with the head coach, oh, he love you, and you talking to the head coach, that kind of goes out the window because he's not going to listen to a parent tell him how to run his program. Just like he's not going to tell you, whatever your profession may be, how to do it in your profession. So I think sometimes parents have to understand during this recruiting process. I'm not saying don't be involved because you should be involved. You're supposed to be involved. This is one of the biggest decisions that they'll make. But sometimes you can turn coaches off with your demands. You could be demanding something. It could be playing time, whatever the case may be.
Number of shots, want a friend to be a walk-on with the team.
Exactly. All those things that I know there's a lot of rumors that go around of things that players can get or things that coaches may do as far as like, okay, bringing a walk on or, you know, missing, you may be able to, I mean, how can I put this?
Basically, you get preferential treatment because you think your son is deserving of it.
Great word choice. Great word choice. You're not going to get preferential treatment when you get ready to go to college. So I encourage parents to, yes, be involved, but take a step back. Take a step back and listen. Listen more than you communicate and more than you talk, because you could lose a scholarship for your son by some of the things that you do and some of the demands that you make, especially when it comes to playing time and things of that nature, because, hey, playing time is earned. I don't care where you go. Now, obviously, you know, top 25 kids, you know, they come in with a little bit more cachet, a little bit more rope, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah. But if you're not a top 25 kid and you think that you're just going to come in automatically and get playing time and that's what you're demanding, most of the time, coaches it's a turnoff to some coaches at the end of the day, because coaches, head coaches, no matter if they promise you playing time or not, they don't like to do it. Head coaches don't want to promise playing time because guess what? They don't really know. They don't know how you're going to react when you get ready to get to school. They don't know how you're going to handle academics. They don't know how you're going to handle weights. They don't know how you're going to handle your social life, things of that nature. There's a lot of things that go into playing time because the player has to be able to handle these things. I'm getting long-winded. My bad.
You're not. And then the other thing that happens is your son or daughter might come in and get hurt. What if they come in and get hurt in the preseason and miss that portion of the development stage and getting the foundation of the terminology, whatever system we're trying to do offensively and defensively? Now they're behind. No doubt. If they're behind and they're a freshman, it's going to be hard to beat somebody out. But don't look at that as a negative thing. So we're jumping ahead a little bit. But if these things happen when you're a freshman, when I came out and when Coach Ja came out, when you were a freshman, it was hard to get in the game. You relished every opportunity you got, and you better get in. Don't turn the ball over. Play extremely hard. Don't miss any defensive assignments. And then when you come out, you better be cheering for everybody else because there's no telling if you're going to play the next 2 or 3 games. Now guys come in and want to play 35 minutes again. You're not ready for that. First of all, you're not ready for that. The team can't win, which is the ultimate goal. Don't lose sight of the ultimate goal for the team to win. It's not about you. It's about the team. And then you're going to probably look bad if you play that many minutes because you're going to make mistakes and you're mentally, the game is going to be going too fast. You can't handle it. Exactly. So that's why sometimes coaches try to ease you in the game. That's not a knock on you or your ability or your talent level. It's just the natural maturation of a player. And as time goes on and you grasp things better and you're more prepared physically and mentally, then you'll deserve the playing time that you're going to get. So don't look at that as a negative thing. Don't make a basketball-only decision, people. Don't make a basketball-only decision. What does that mean? Look at the school. Does the school offer a type of program that you have some interest in? And if you don't have any idea what you want to do, which most high school kids don't, start thinking about it now because you're going to be a pro in something. And I pray it's basketball. We talked about this last week. This is not a knock, but the reality is it's really hard to make it. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Have an idea of something else that you want to do in life and go to a school where it makes sense for you academically, socially, and you could see yourself on that campus if you didn't play a sport because you're going to spend more time not playing your sport than you are playing your sport. Yes. So you need to be comfortable on that campus. You need to be comfortable with the staff. You need to be comfortable with the players.
Yeah, no doubt. And when they get to school, and I think we need to teach this as coaches, helping young people take advantage of relationships. Because some of those guys that you're sitting next to, men and women in those classes, are future CEOs. Some of my friends are some of the same friends I sat with in class. One's a CEO, one's dad drove, he actually flew Phil Knight's airplane. Now he's a pilot. So those are the relationships. When you get ready to go to college, you need to build relationships. Build relationships with alumni because those are the people that are going to help you when you get further along in your life if basketball doesn't work out. And even if it does work out, the air goes out of the ball when you probably get around your early 30s. So
regardless.
You can still got about, let's just say 40, 50 more years to live. So you're going to have to do something other than basketball. So when you're choosing these schools, make sure you choose a school where you can be at, like you said, to piggyback off of what you said. You know what I mean? Find something that you're interested in. Hell, if you're interested in painting, paint. If you're interested in music, go do music. You know, find something that you're interested in, so that way it won't be such a bear to go to class. Oh, I don't want to go to class. Because when I went to school, I'll be honest with you, I majored in sociology. Hell, you know why? Because it was the easiest thing to finish. And I'm kicking myself for it now because there's some other things that I was more interested in, but you kind of got pushed into that because guess what? I didn't really know what I wanted to do.
So and you didn't take advantage and control your own situation, which most kids don't. So that's what we're telling you now.
No doubt. Take advantage, control your situation. Whatever it is that you like, you know, some of you guys like to play video games. Play video games. Hey, it may be a class for video games. You never know. There's a lot of things on college. There's a lot of courses on college campuses that we don't look into because we don't have the knowledge and we don't ask the questions. So
take advantage of your life and control your life. To touch on one quick thing you said before we move on to our next topic, because we want to make sure we go a little quicker. The one complaint we had last week was the show was a little long, so we're going to try to be a little shorter so you guys can make sure we get in and out. We want you guys to watch the show straight through so you can get all the knowledge that we want to give you. What he just described as far as getting to know the people in your class works, the common terminology for that is networking. So you're always networking. The world, as you get older, and your parents should know this now, and I'm a parent and I haven't done as good a job as I want to do, so I know parents is difficult. You have so many things going on. The world is all about who you know, and then once you get in a position, what you know. But you got to get into the position first, and that's going to be who you know and the relationships that you've built and the foundation of the people that you know, getting you into certain spots, getting you into certain conversations, getting you into certain meetings. So be nice to the people on campus. Because like you just said, you could be sitting next to a CEO. You could be sitting next to an entrepreneur. You could be sitting next to the top research person in the country. You could be sitting next to the next president at Coca-Cola. So get to know people on your campus because they can bring value to your life, and hopefully you'll bring value to their life as well. Relationships. That's what the whole world's about. The next topic we want to get to is a scholarship offer. Scholarship offer. What exactly does that mean? And there's a lot that goes with scholarship offers, some different subtopics that we have. When you hear scholarship offer, Coach Yah, what do you think?
At that moment, if I offer you a scholarship, you take that scholarship, we will take it. We will take you. So a lot of times these offers go out, which is fine because that's a part of the game now. A lot of times as coaches, we put out offers because now you can't even talk to a kid if you don't offer. Coach, are you offering? That's the first question. Coach, are you offering? Well, if I'm offering, are you taking
it? I need to know that.
Yeah. Are you taking it? If I offer, are you taking it? I think a lot of times the word offer gets thrown out, and I think a lot of times people take advantage of it and kids take advantage of it because, you know, obviously that's where we are in these days, in these times. Kids like to put it on Twitter, put it on Instagram, and that's fine. That's fine. But understand what a real, true offer is. Because a lot of times, and I think you're going to touch on this, a lot of times coaches are offering because somebody in the conference is offered. You may blow up. Hell, that's the only way they can have a conversation with you if they do offer you. And it's just hard, I think, sometimes because I think it messes up the kids, it messes up the parents a lot of times because they really truly think that a lot of these offers are true offers. A lot of times they're not true offers. Like North Carolina, there's a reason why North Carolina, Duke, and all those guys wait around because at the end of the day, they know that people will wait around on those offers. Mm-hmm. You wait. I mean, I've been in situations where I've worked my tail off to recruit a kid, and at the end of the day, oh, Duke offered, took it.
Me too.
And that's where we are in today's world, and that's where we are with these kids today, with young people today, which is okay. But at the end of the day, just understand what offers really are. What is a true scholarship offer?
Don't be enamored with putting on social media. It's almost always like, it's like you guys copy and paste. Truly blessed and thankful and humble to be offered by so-and-so school. And I guess it's clout. You know, this wasn't a part of my generation. Like, we didn't have social media. We didn't tell everybody who offered us. Our concentration, our focus was being the best player on our team, first and foremost. You want to be the best player on your team. Secondly, you want to be the best player in your area. In your area is like 4 or 5 schools. Yeah. Third, you try to be the best player in your state, which is really hard because there's some bad dudes in the state. And then, you know, from there, you want to see what you can do nationally when you go against such and such from California, such and such from North Carolina that you kind of heard about, but you never saw a video on them. You had no idea what they look like. You just run into them in a tournament, and right before the game, you hear, hey, this dude right here is supposed to be a bad boy. We're going to find out what you made up today. So we came up in a different world. But I still think that the goal should be the same. If you're not the best player on your team, then why are you concerned with putting who offered you a scholarship? You got to be the best player on your team, because you're going to college where, if not every single person, the majority of the people on your team were the best person on their team. They were the best person in their area. So I'm saying all that to say you're going up against some good players when you get to college.
No doubt. No doubt.
Your focus should be getting better. You always want to improve your strengths, and then you want to work on your weaknesses to make them not weaknesses. You got to continue to grow. You got to know what your weaknesses are, identify them, listen to what people are saying you, and also be objective with yourself and know that if you struggle to shoot, that you got to put more time into shooting. If you struggle with ball handling with your weak offhand, then you need to put more time in working on your ball handling with your weak hand. If you're a bad defender, you need to study good defenders. There are good defenders. You have so much film and video on guys now. Study what good defenders do. A lot of it is just anticipation, pride, and understanding. So I never understand why somebody's bad on defense anyway. But I say all that to say, try to be the best player you can be. The schools that offer you are going to offer you whether you put it on social media or don't put it on social media. No, and I know schools that are afraid to offer kids because it's going to go on social media. And when they offer you, everybody in the league is going to offer you. So sometimes they'll sit on it and not offer you because they know you're going to put it on social media.
And we've had those situations, and I'm not going to point those situations out because it's okay. We're not saying don't be excited about your offers. But I've seen situations where a guy, well, I got an offer from here, Duke, North Carolina, Mississippi State, all these schools, and then they end up going to a school at a lower level. But you had all these offers that really wasn't probably true offers. You put them out there. You can only go to one school. So at the end of the day, be excited about getting the offers, but you know you're not going to that many schools. Now, if you're trying to get a little clout, I get it, man. That's what y'all try to do, get a little clout. But just understand how it looks when you put out all these offers, and then all of a sudden, you're looking at some of the schools, you're like, well, why you didn't go to that school? Because they really, truly didn't offer. So know what a true offer is. A true offer is, hey, we will accept you if you take this scholarship today. If you say yes today, we are going to offer you. Sometimes there are offers. Take it from us. We both have done it. Okay, we both done it. And I'm talking into the screen, and I'm really, really serious about this. Understand, sometimes you get an offer because that's the only way we can have a conversation with you.
Which is ridiculous.
Sometimes you get an offer because somebody in the conference may have offered, and you're like, well, shoot, we better offer them. Because that's the only way we're going to get in a conversation. Because the first conversation that most of the time you have with a kid is what? Coach, you offering me? Or you have it with a parent. So what about the offer? So.
And I think you should look at an offer like a relationship. So the first time we talk, the first time I meet a girl, I'm married. But if I wasn't married, the first time I met a girl, I wasn't going to ask her to be my girlfriend. I got to get to know her. She needs to get to know me. So you need to get to know my situation, my college, my team, my program, my style of play, and make sure that you fit or you want to go to my program. I got to get to know you, what kind of culture you've been around, what kind of culture you're going to bring, what kind of person you are. Do you work hard? I'm still evaluating you as a player unless I've seen you multiple times before I've talked to you, which is rare. Usually the first time we talk, I've only seen you a couple times. So I'm still trying to get to know you as a player. We should actually have a courting period where we get to know each other before we offer anyway. You shouldn't even want the offer that fast. Like, let's get to know each other and make sure that we even make sense for each other before we commit to something that serious. An offer should be a very serious thing. There's no rush. Slow it down.
And you don't want to talk before you don't want to talk to 12 people. Oh, I got 15 offers. Oh, I got 24 offers. But then
we don't like that. A top 15, top 20, I'm telling you right now, there's not a college coach in the country that likes that. I'm telling you right now, don't put out a top 15, don't put out a top 20. If it's more than 5 or 6, we think you're out of your mind, and a lot of people will actually back out of you. When we see you put a top 15 up, a lot of people say, man, I don't even want to mess with this kid. He put a top 15 up. Like, he's not even serious right now. He just wants people to think that he's getting recruited by a lot of people.
Gotcha.
Do you agree?
Hey, I totally agree. Trust me.
All right, let's go ahead and move into this next topic. Oh, I can't wait. All right. So me and you have had a small conversation about this, and you're on one end of the spectrum. There's a whole middle layer, and then I'm on the whole other side of the spectrum.
Yeah.
All right. So should you wait and try to go to the highest level possible? And usually that means the kids are trying to go to a high major, which means a BCS level school, one of the Power 5 schools, your Pac-12s, your ACC, your SEC, your Big 12. You know, everybody knows what those schools are. Should you wait and try to go to the highest level possible?
I think you have to understand the circumstances if you do wait, the pros and cons. All right. If you wait and you don't get the scholarship that you want, then, excuse my language, your ass out. But you can wait, and something that you always say, bet on yourself and get a high major, but then go to that high major. And most of the time when you wait really, really, really late, and high majors really don't want to recruit in the spring unless they really, really, really have to. But
why is that? No, you hit on something that I don't think a lot of people understand. Why do high majors not want that? Yeah, I'm not gonna let you get out of that. Why do high majors not want to recruit in the spring? Let everybody know.
Because most of the time in the early signing period, you want to get it done. And a lot of times in the spring, those are guys you usually have missed out on the guys that you wanted early on. And that's the truth. Now we just got to the truth. Okay. Giving away secrets. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Most of the time you want to try to get it done in the early signing period.
Because to be honest, the majority of the good players, the players that actually are legitimate, and I don't think we're gonna have time on this show, but the legitimate high major plus, high major, and high major minus guys are usually gone in the fall or even earlier.
Unless you're one of those guys that, again,
a late bloomer,
top 15, top 25, they can kind of do whatever they want to do. You're gonna wait all day on them because that's just how it goes. They're that talented, and you'll wait on them. But
no question, you're right about that.
In the spring, you don't want to do a whole lot of recruiting because if a high major is recruiting in the spring, I'm not saying this is every high major, but if a high major is recruiting in the spring and in the summer, they probably have missed out on somebody that they really, really wanted. And now they come down to the spring, and now they're on their B list. There's A list.
I didn't think we were going to tell them about the B list. Okay, all right.
And this doesn't mean that you're not a good player. This doesn't mean that you can't play at a high major.
You got to be a good player to be on the B list. We won't even put you on there unless we're somebody that we think, if we got to you, that you could play in our program.
This goes back to doing your research when you're trying to find a school. When you're picking a school, this goes back to you doing your research so you can understand what's going on with their recruiting. Ask these questions. A lot of times you don't ask these questions because you're so hyped to talk on the phone or put an offer out. You don't even really know what's going on in that recruiting room. Now, we're not going to let you know everything that goes on. High major coaches are not, or mid-major, no coach at all is going to let you really know what's going on behind the scenes in recruiting. But you can figure it out because there's so much information out there now. You're able to. Yeah, it's too much information that you'll be able to figure it out. So you have to understand when you're recruiting in the spring and you decide to wait until the spring, just understand you may be a B guy or you may still be an A guy. But most of the time, if you're if you're getting recruited mid-major plus, most of the time, that's really where people view you at. Now, it's okay if you have dreams and aspirations of going to the high major. But just understand, if you wait, some of those mid-majors go away. And last I checked, out of the probably top 10 or 15 players in the NBA, 5 or 6 of those guys are mid-major guys.
No question.
So you need to go where you're going to play. You want to play. It doesn't matter like back in the old days, maybe even a little bit before our times, where mid-majors didn't come on TV, NBA scouts don't come to mid-major games. Hey, man, NBA scouts are everywhere.
Everywhere.
They're everywhere. So if there's a mid-major and you can go play, it's better to be on the floor than off the floor. You don't want to sit on the bench at a high major. Oh, it's all cool. It's all fun and games. Oh, you get the gear. You know what I'm saying? You get to be on TV. But I would rather be playing than be on TV on the bench waving a towel.
So it's funny because as he got to talking, he talked himself out of what his initial thought was when we had this conversation. So we had this conversation. His first thought was, you got to bet on yourself. If you want to go high major, wait it out.
Yeah.
Go high major. It don't matter. Like, make it work, grind it out. That was his initial conversation.
It was.
But he just talked himself out of it. I didn't say nothing to him. I let him talk his own self out of it.
I did.
My thought is, go to the people who want you and need you. And there's a difference between want and need. I want you to understand the difference. If a program needs you, when you go in and you're a freshman and you're playing and you're turning the ball over, you're struggling a little bit on defense, you're missing shots early. If they need you, they'll let you play through those mistakes.
Yeah.
They need you. They need you. They know you can do better. They understand you're young. They're gonna work with you through your maturation process. They know that they need you to be better at the end of the year, so they'll live with the mistakes early. That's the program you need, the one that needs you. And how do you know they need you? You can look at their board of players on their roster. How many, if I'm a point guard, how many point guards do they have on their roster? What year?
More than one point guard on the roster, okay?
Has to be.
On the point guard.
Has to be. If they don't have 3 point guards on their roster, they don't want to win. Let's just start with that. First of all, you got to have 2 to practice. If one gets hurt and you only got 2, now you can't practice. And then the way the game is trending and going, you want to play 2 point guards late in the game to handle the ball, be able to control the game, control pressure, make sure you get a good shot. Point guards now are more scoring guards, so one can be off the ball, it's fine. So most teams are going to have 3 point guards. But if they got a point guard that's going to be, if they got 2 point guards on their roster already, one's just graduated. The 2 point guards that are still on their roster are going to be a junior and one's going to be a senior. They both have averaged over 20 minutes a game the last couple of years. They're guys who are averaging double digits in points. It's going to be hard for you to get on the court. And if you think you're going to come in and beat out a junior and a senior that are playing 25, 30 minutes a game and average double-digit points, 4 or 5 assists a game, don't turn the ball over, you're being unrealistic with yourself.
I don't care what you're ranked. It does not matter.
Does not matter.
No.
Those guys can play. I'm just telling you right now. They're smart. They're savvy. They've won games. They know what it takes. They're going to play. But if they got 1 point guard that's going to be a junior, he's been coming off the bench 17, 18 minutes a game. He's good. They need him. He's going to be in the rotation, which we said you're going to play 2 point guards anyway. The other point guard just graduated. The other guy who played point last year is more of a wing. They want to get him off the ball more. He's not comfortable. That's a situation you want to go to. They're not recruiting any other point guards. They don't have a point guard signed ahead of you already. You're the point guard that they've been following, tracking. That's where you want to go. Yeah. So these are the things you should be looking for. Not if you got an offer early, if they're sending you the nice graphics with you holding the ball with the city behind you. Like, everybody's doing that. We're doing that for everybody. Everybody.
Yes.
It's the same graphic. We just put a different person in the graphic. Like, the coaches are going to be mad at me for telling you this, but it's the truth. Like, so I want you to understand what our goal in telling you this and having this show is to empower kids and parents to understand what they should be looking for and to make better decisions. And it'll help college coaches too.
And one thing I want to do, and I want to cut down on transfers. I think a lot of times kids transfer because they don't do their research on the school that they're going to.
And understand the situation they're going into.
Exactly.
And college coaches also got to be upfront and honest and tell you guys the truth. I tried my best. Didn't matter if I thought I could get the kid or not get the kid to be in these situations, to be honest with them. Hey, man, we got 2 point guards that are really good. I'm going to just be honest with you. Now, I think you can play behind them. You're going to get better every day because you're going to get to go against two guys that are really good players that have experience. If one of them gets hurt, you'll be you'll be ready to play. But it's an opportunity for you to come in and watch how to learn. One of these guys is a pro. Learn how to be a pro. Get to go against him every single day. We'll have scouts in practice. And when your time comes, you'll be ready, and you'll be the guy where you'll have somebody coming behind you. I didn't want to lie and say, I think you're better than them. I know they're older. I think you can come in and beat them out. And you're going to play 35 minutes a game. You're better than them now. I would never tell a kid that because it's too important. And I wouldn't want anybody to tell me that if I was a recruit.
There you have it.
I mean, it's just to me, it's just not right.
No,
like, you know
it's
what I'm saying?
not right. And
yeah.
I think at the end of the day, we're both guys that were recruited. So we understand when you're going out here, we understand how important this decision is.
Yeah.
I understand how important the decision is. I don't want to screw a kid over. And I don't think college coaches want to screw a kid over.
They don't. But it's so much pressure on the job, and it's so many unknowns that you just try to get the best players you can possible, as many as you can, so that when things hit the fan and you know what's going to happen, guys get hurt, guys become ineligible, got transfers, you got players ready to step in. So you're not doing it intentionally, but you try to get as many good players as possible. It's part of the job.
You got to get good players, especially in today's climate. Because if they pass this rule where guys can transfer
and play right away,
you're gonna have to you're gonna need to recruit your team. So you need to have good players on your team because you're gonna have guys that are gonna leave. I want to cut down on that. I know it's a tough task, but I don't think parents and kids have enough information so they can understand the situation.
I think they don't know what they're looking for either. So hopefully they're listening to the things that you should be looking for and what should be your decision should be based on.
No doubt. No doubt.
Not the name across the jersey. It's all the people that you're going to be dealing with every day. And does that situation and that style and also socially, and then also is there a major that makes sense so that you have interest in? If all those things don't come together, then it doesn't make sense.
No doubt. No doubt.
And the reason that I've always felt that you should go to where you're needed and wanted and recruited, whatever level you're getting recruited at, is because I'm a guy who did exactly what these people are doing. I went to Florida A&M. That's the level I was coming out of high school. It doesn't matter if I think I was better than there or not. That's the level I was coming out of high school. And I went there and had success and was doing really well and should have just ran my own race. But instead, I had ideas of wanting to play in the ACC, play on TV, looking at what my friends were doing, guys who I thought I was good as. I go there, I get caught up in all the political. He's not ranked. He's coming from an HBCU. We got to recruit high-level guys every single year. I went to a staff where the coach was under pressure to get fired. So as he does that, now he's trying to get the highest level recruits to build, some feel from the alumni and the boosters and the administration to try to save his job. So it doesn't matter if I'm playing better than him in practice. This is what I'll tell you about high major. It's going to be some dudes that's going to be mad at me, but I'm going to tell you the truth. You can be a high major and be better than dudes in practice. If they're ranked 42nd coming out of high school, you weren't ranked. You're playing better than them, but you're not head and shoulders better than them. They're probably going to play and you're not. And it doesn't matter if it's fair. It's the truth, especially if they're ranked number 42 and they're a local kid and you're from somewhere else. If they're a local kid and they're ranked 42 and they don't play, it's going to be hard for them to recruit anyone from any program that you've been associated with, because no one will accept that for whatever reason you were ranked higher than you're supposed to be ranked, or you're not handling your business on and off the court. That's the reality. People don't want to hear that. People don't want to tell you that. That's the truth. So be careful going to a high major because the political stuff is real.
Oh, you wanted me to piggyback on that?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
No, it is. It gets political. You have coaches. I'll say this: you do have coaches that
are winning and are more established. I would agree with you. I'm sorry. I need to preface it with that. If they're established and they've been winning, they probably will just play the best players. You're right. I'm talking about the majority of programs though. No. A guy trying to save his job or he's new to the job.
And
that's
what I'm talking about. That. You have to understand that going in, and that's why parents, kids, you have to do your research because it saves everybody. It saves the coaches. It saves everybody a headache because everybody wants to play. Everybody wants to play. You want to go in there, but you got to do research. You got to look at that roster. You got to see what's going on there. You got to see if they had a player that's like you. You know what I mean? You got to know the style of play. You got to talk to some people that have actually been through it. You need to also talk to some people that actually played for that coach, so you can understand, have a better watch film. Don't just watch film of yourself or your son in high school. Watch film of the schools that you're thinking about going to. Don't just watch them on TV. Get some film on them. There's all type of ways that you can look at these games, game films, and all that type of stuff. That way you can make a better decision. You make a better decision and it'll work out for you. And you're probably less likely to transfer because you've made an educated decision and you've done all your research that you need to do. Just understand it. And we're giving you some nuggets for you to be able to understand, okay, hey, politics may be involved. I'll just be honest with you. And I think we said this last week. I mean, when I was at Georgia, we were trying to get some Georgia kids. I wasn't saying that was the only kids that we were trying to get, but we wanted to get some Georgia kids, and we knew it had to work out with some of those Georgia kids. You were at Georgia Tech. You wanted to get some Georgia kids. You wanted it to work out for those kids because they're homegrown kids. That is one of the pluses about going to schools that are closer to home, because you're likely to get some playing time, especially if you're a guy with a little cachet with a name behind you, because they want you to be successful, because we have to recruit in whatever that area is.
Exactly.
And most of your success can come from homegrown guys, especially in the state of Georgia. All right, Georgia and Georgia Tech. I threw y'all a bone.
All right, we're about to get into our players from this week that we want to talk about from the fall league that we want to highlight. Before I get to that, I want to make sure I said a statement last week and I got some indifference about it. I said we don't want to coach academics, okay? And I want to make sure everybody understands what I mean. If we bring your son in, we've told you that we want them to get their degree. We want them to get their degree. We want them to do everything possible. We will do everything possible to help them. When I say that, I mean, I don't want to coach you in the study hall room giving an attitude to the tutor. I don't want to coach you coming late to study hall. I don't want to coach you missing class. I don't want to coach you being late to class. If we get to the point where we're dealing with that on a daily basis, it impacts how I think about you as a basketball player. I don't want to coach you in
class like this.
In the back of the class, after I told you sit in the front of the class, no hood on, no headphones on, with a pen and pad. I don't want to coach you coming with why would you come to class with no book bag, no notebook, no nothing, just you and your clothes? You didn't want to learn. I shouldn't coach that. That's what I think. I shouldn't have to coach that. Now, should I make sure that you have the proper tutoring? Should I make sure that we're on the same page where you're preparing and learning how to take notes and growing as a student, doing everything you're supposed to do, make sure that on the road you're taking care of business, everything you're supposed to do? Yes, that's my job. That's my responsibility. I will help and coordinate with that. I'm talking about attitude, behavior. We shouldn't coach that academically. That's what I mean by that, for anybody who was wondering. So, Coach Ja, your first player that you wanted to talk about today, who was that?
I think Chauncey Wiggins, man. I want to talk about Chauncey. I love Chauncey. I think Chauncey had a great game last week. He's got good size. He can shoot the ball. He's a guy that can stretch the floor. I think Chauncey gets a lot of flack. And I think he gets a lot of flack because everybody wants Chauncey to be something that he's not right now. But you know as well as I know, we're always looking for bigger guys that could stretch the floor. And he's a guy with great size that can stretch the floor.
Yeah.
And I've been around, and it's funny because I'm around parents, I'm around a couple people that, they talk a lot and things of that nature. This kid is going to be really, really good. He has a lot of untapped potential. Now, he has to do it. It has to be him. He has to take care of business and get it done. But I think people need to understand and see Chauncey's talent and understand that when he goes to school, he's going to get the proper strength training. He's going to be, he needs to make sure look at that shot right there. That's a big time shot. That's a one.
You can't teach that. You can't teach
that. So he has some things that you can't teach. And I just think he's going to be a really, really, really good player. Look at that. He's going to be a really, really good player. I just think he has a lot of pressure, and I know he hears it. He hears it from people. Oh man, you know, Chauncey needs to do this. Does he need to rebound more? Yes. Does he need to get a little tougher? Yes. And that's gonna come. But just understand something. There's a reason why he's ranked 59. It may not be because of how he played this summer. It's because of coaches looking at him and they can see his potential and what he can do. I mean, he's a guy that can play multiple positions. He's a guy you can put at the 5 because of his size and stretch the floor because he can shoot the ball. And as you know, when you have a guy with size that can stretch the floor, that opens up driving lanes, that opens up a lot of stuff. So, you know, that's one of my guys. I wanted to give Chauncey a little love. He probably didn't play as great as he wanted to play this past weekend, but I thought the weekend before he made some strides, and I think he's going to do it. I think he's going to be a big-time player.
I think that the nugget you got out of that is don't think of these kids as finished products. They're high school players. They're growing. They're developing. And also big kids or taller kids takes them a little bit longer to develop. So they can end up being much better college players than they were high school players. But if they have the ability to do things that you talked about, they're ahead of the curve and ahead of the game. My first guy I want to talk about, and I tried to talk about him last week. I almost disrupted the whole show last week. Like, we had a whole strategy we wanted to do. I was just like, man, come on. You sure I can't talk about him? You sure? Man, the guy I wanted, man, Kanan Carlisle from Milton High School is playing his butt off. And I'm telling every college coach I know when they call me and they ask me who played good, Kanan Carlisle.
Yes, me too.
What about, man, who played the best? Kanan Carlisle. Okay, so he's playing on the team with some really good players. And I think that there's an advantage. First of all, look at the athleticism. I don't think people expect to be able to catch lobs. It's an advantage of playing with really good players and a disadvantage of playing with good players. Some people will say, from one end of the spectrum, that it's easier to play with really good players. You have less pressure. They can't double team you. They can't key in on you. You know, you might not get the best defender. I think in some ways it's harder to play with good players on a high school team because you get less opportunities and everything. You're not the focal point of everything, but it also prepares you when you go to college for playing with higher level guys because you're used to not having the ball in your hand the entire time, not being ball dominant, having to play within the system and still get your own. So I think it's advantageous to play with better players. What he's done is, do you agree?
My bad, coach. My bad, coach. Keep going.
No problem. So what he's done is I think he's learned to play on the ball to become a little bit more of a playmaker. Now, he's not a 100% pure point guard, but he's getting better at it. He was known as a guy who could really make shots coming up, but now he's a little bit more of a playmaker. His athleticism has gotten better. Because he's playing with Bruce Thornton, who's a dog defensively, he's learned to defend a little bit better. Now he's getting his hands on some balls. He's getting a little tougher. He's not there in big moments, big games a lot, so he's not afraid of the situation. He has some swagger and some confidence about himself. So I just think he's really grown as a player. He's shooting the ball better. I'm really happy with his progression, and I think he's played as well as anybody in this fall league and is one of the best players in the country.
I want to say something that I've noticed about him when I first saw him, where he's matured, and he's matured a lot. I say this a lot. I think he's taking off his cool jacket. He's a guy that everybody he come in and he got a swag to himself.
Yes, he does. And there's nothing wrong with that.
But I think he's playing a lot harder than he's played in years past. And it's shown. He's tried to get after the defensively. I've seen him dive on the floor for loose balls. He's running in transition. He's doing things that he didn't do last year, which lets me know he was conscious of what people were saying about him, and he's gotten better, and he's going to be a big-time player, man.
I agree. Maturing and growing. Let's get to your next guy.
My next guy is Jabari Smith, baby.
Ooh.
I love Jabari, man. I kind of got a close relationship with Jabari.
Me too. I mean, we've known his dad for forever. He's like a nephew or something.
He's like a nephew to all of us because we actually played with his dad. You know who he reminds me of? A guy I played with. He reminds me of Shareef Abdul-Rahim.
Shareef Abdul-Rahim. That's the first thing I said. Kind of looks like him is the scary part.
Looks like him. Can move like him. Fluid for his size. Can stretch the floor. He's gonna get stronger. I think he needs to get better at finishing in traffic a little bit, and he'll tell you that he understands that. But the sky's the limit for this kid. It's the reason why he's ranked in the top 5. Hell, he's in my top 2. I went and watched him at USA basketball. Was it not this past summer, but summer before last, and he was the best player there.
I went this past summer. He was a bad boy then too.
Yes, he is playing really, really well. And what I like about him is, even though his school wasn't considered a big time school, Sandy Creek, he made them better. He got them as far as he can get them. Now I know he wanted to win a state championship. They lost to Woodward Academy over there, but he took his team, and this is not a knock on his team, but no one was coming into the season saying Sandy Creek was going to be just this great team. And what he did is what great players do. He made those guys around him better, and he took them as far as he could take them. Now he's got a guy over there with him in Miles that we can talk about next week, because we've been wanting to talk about him too. We can't talk about everybody in 45 minutes to an hour, but I think this year he's going to have a chance to win a state championship, and I know that's really what he wants to do. But sky's the limit for this kid. Reminds me of Sharif Abdul-Rahim. I think he's a guy that, obviously, he's a high school All-American. Don't know if he's going to stay in college long enough to become an All-American in college, but I do know one thing. He's a guy that it's the reason why he's top 5, and he's one of those guys that we've been talking about that when he walks on campus, he's probably in the starting lineup.
But he also plays the right way, and has a good approach to the game. Doesn't force shots. I mean, he just gets it, man. You know what I'm saying? It's a rare, really talented player that kind of gets it and has humbled himself. So I love him. Looking forward to following his future and his career. My next guy is Max Harris from Wheeler High School.
I like this kid.
And I wasn't very familiar with him. I had been hearing about him. He shoots the ball well. He's scoring a lot of points in the summer. And guys aren't going to want to hear this, especially this summer. I wasn't impressed with you if you played well this summer, because I think the basketball was low level.
You're so mean, man.
I got to tell him the truth. The basketball was low level. You were playing against mostly local guys. We were in a pandemic, so you couldn't get the best players from all across the country. It was watered down this year. You played against each other a lot. If you played well this summer, I really have more value in watching you play with your high school team in more structure, offensively and defensively, and then seeing what you're going to do with your high school team, especially if you're playing with good players. And the culture at Wheeler, everybody knows their goal every single year is to win a state championship.
Yes.
They have no other goal. Making it to the Final Four, making it to the Elite Eight, winning 25 games. It doesn't mean anything to them.
Not at all.
They want to hang banners. That's what they do at Wheeler High School. So he's come in and into a program that's just won a state championship, and he's kind of assimilated himself as one of the best players and one of the go-to guys. And I love the way he shoots the ball. I think he's extremely confident in himself. He's trying to become more of a playmaker guy who can attack, get to the paint, and create shots and openings for his teammates as well as himself. He's finishing at the rim with some strength. He has a sturdy body.
I like
him. I like him a lot. I'm very impressed with him. Looking forward to following him in the upcoming year and seeing what he can do. Who's your next guy?
Hey, man, I was impressed this past week with Daquan Riggins from South Cobb. I mean, 6'3", good athlete. Looked like he gets after the defensively. He actually he made 6 threes in the game I watched him this weekend, man.
It's hard to make 6 threes too.
He made 6 threes. And what I liked about him, he was picking guys up full court. He was very active defensively. He has good long arms, so he's rangy, athletic. He plays above the rim. I mean, I really, really I watched him this summer. I think he played with Game Elite, and I just thought he was more of a slasher. A guy that slashes to the basket, gets some plays in transition. But he showed me something this past weekend where he was making 3-point shots, and he was doing all the little things. And I think he's a guy that mid-major pluses need to look at it, and even some high majors take a look at him, because he has that body, he has that build. I'm not saying he's a high major today, but the way he played the other day, he definitely should be getting some looks from high majors. That doesn't mean you're going to get an offer.
Yeah.
He actually played really, really good, and I was really impressed with him this past weekend.
And listen to what he just said. And it doesn't mean you should get an offer or that you're going to get an offer. And again, you want to go to the level that you're getting recruited and the situation that makes the most sense for you. So remember that at all times. Just because a high major or a bigger school calls you, and I wanted to say this earlier, but I lost track because we've talked about so much stuff. Just because a school calls you or sends you a letter, doesn't they offer you? If they don't say the words, we would love to see you in our uniform, or we're offering you a scholarship, you have not received an offer, and there's nothing wrong with that, because there is some interest, or they wouldn't be calling you and checking on you. And especially if they're calling on a consistent basis. If they're calling you on a consistent basis, we don't waste time like that.
No.
It's a lot of other things to do. Yeah, there's a lot of other things to do. If we called you one time, we didn't offer you. If you're getting mail outs, that's the GA. The assistant coaches don't even know who's getting the mail out sometimes. That's the GA. Like, we have no idea. It's just it's a generated list of guys, and you're just getting a mail out. So don't, and again, that's not a negative thing because you're on that list. So somebody knows who you are. But unless you're getting consistent calls and information and direct calls from assistants, and especially from the head coach from time to time, you're not getting recruited at a real level, and you're not needed, which is what you're looking for. You want to be needed, not wanted or not recruited. My last player is Ethan Davis. He's a young kid with a big rep up in that area, especially from Collins Hill. Started as a freshman, almost averaged a double-double. I think he was 9.7 rebounds as a freshman, which is hard to do as a freshman. You're a good player. He has great size, about 6'5", good, strong body already, can shoot it from the perimeter, has to tighten up his attention to detail. He's a little lackluster getting back on defense sometimes. If he turns it over, he doesn't sprint back. These are all young mistakes that are not anything negative. It's just has to mature and has to grow. And he has a great coach over there in Joe Dix, who used to be at East Hall, who's one of the best coaches in the state that a lot of people don't talk about. So I know he will coach him up and he will get better. But when you're that size at that age and you can put the ball on the floor and you can make shots and he shows you flashes, he has a chance to be a really good player. Has high major offers already and high major interest. So Ethan Davis is a guy that I want to make sure I highlight and talk about as my young guy for this week. This is our show for this week. We're at 50 minutes. We did a little bit better. Not as good as we wanted to do. A little bit better. But thank you for following us. We would love for you guys to get a little bit more interactive with us, add questions to us. We've had conversations about having conversations with parents and setting up a panel where we can answer direct questions on recruiting, playing in college, things of that nature, so that we can try to inform and give you guys as much information as possible so we can make better decisions, have less transfers, and have better college careers, and also have better paths to life to be a pro in whatever you're going to be in, and not just make decisions based on basketball. This is Darryl LaBarrie. Yasir, give us a final word.
Hey, my final word is, man, just you guys out here, you guys that are watching, you parents, you kids, keep the kids watching. Keep the kids playing, keep them working hard, and feel free to reach out. I've had some parents reach out, DM, call me. I won't put my number on him, but if you DM me, I'll give you my number and we can talk about this recruiting process, what to do from working out, all those things. Hey, just feel free to reach out. I am an open book. All right.
We appreciate you guys. Thanks for following. This is T-Lab from LaBWork signing off. Looking forward to seeing you guys next week.
Peace.